In this video, we are going to understand physical component of a network.
Networks can consist of many different devices. Let's start at the very bottom with devices you should be familiar with. These devices are called endpoints, and these are PCs, servers, printers, tablets, smartphones, cameras, manufacturing robots, and different sensors. Even refrigerators are connected to networks in this day and age. But if you want to connect devices to the network, you need specialized components. These components are called interconnections. A component that every networking capable device has built in is called a NIC. This acronym stands for Network Interface Controller or CARD. The name itself should be self-explanatory though. The next component is network media, and the most common media are cables or wireless media. Media provides the means for transmitting signals from device to device. The last component in our interconnection story are connectors. Connectors provide connection points, the points where media gets plugged into NICs. The most commonly known connector when it comes to the copper medium is an RJ45 connector. If you remember an old analog phone connector, you should be familiar with the design. An RJ45 is simply an upscale version of that. A representative for fiber medium is an LC connector, for example. At this point, we have the basics covered. Let's try and visualize it now. We know that a PC is an endpoint, which contains an interconnection element called a NIC, a medium that connects to the NIC with a connector. Usually the other end of the cable runs into a wall socket, and that's the end of the story for the end user. But for us, the story doesn't end there. When talking about enterprise networks, you can be sure that there are plenty of more devices on the other side of the wall somewhere. And the first device that you'll see down the line is a switch. Switches are devices that endpoints, such as PCs, file servers, and so on, connect to. Usually all the computers that are connected to the same switch can communicate directly with each other. They share what is called a common network. Common networks are rather small, which means that communication is more common between them and not inside of them. This leads us to another type of networking device, a router. Routers provide inter-network connectivity, and they do it in the most optimal way possible. Imagine a router as an airport traffic control. They say where, when, and how planes go through airports and control airspace. If you want to transit from one network to another, you have to go through a router. What about Wi-Fi? How do I connect my smartphone to the network? In enterprise-grade networks, that's done through a WLAN access point, or AP for short. APs are able to transmit and receive signals from your wireless device. However, normally, they are connected to the network with a cable. They can be connected into a switch or a router. Some routers even come with integrated WLAN components. When you have multiple APs in your network, you need some sort of centralized control over them. And that is what WLAN controllers are for. They automatically handle the configuration of access points. You can imagine how managing them manually would be a daunting task, especially if there are plenty of them. The last thing you'll come across, and this is an essential part of an enterprise network, is a firewall. Imagine a firewall like the Customs and Border Patrol. Based on configured security rules, a firewall monitors and controls incoming and outgoing traffic. A firewall typically establishes a barrier between a trusted, secure internal network and an outside network, such as an internet that's assumed to be not secure or trusted. So this is what enterprise networks look like. Home networks are simpler and have devices that combine all of these elements into one device because there's no need to have enterprise-grade network equipment there.